Another ugly loss for UVA basketball over the weekend, and I am now here to say, and I hate doing this, but it might be time to move on from Tony Bennett basketball. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. And we knew as a promising UVA basketball season fizzled out last year down the stretch. There was that long winning streak, and then the loss to Pitt in an exciting game, and then after that, the offense couldn't put points on the board. String of games. I think I had it at nine in the last nine games. Virginia didn't get out of the 40s in five of those nine. Actually won one of those games, beat Wake Forest, so hung around in a couple others. Um, but we knew after all that the Tony Bennett era needed to have a tune-up at least. Tony Bennett basketball itself needed to be a thing of the past in the sense of, running the same tired, patient, continuity flow, movie blocker offense, playing defense like you're playing hockey. Tony Bennett himself came to the same conclusion. There was a lot of talk out of the program starting late spring and throughout the summer into the fall about, oh, we're going to tweak the offense. We were hearing from the players that, wait till you see this team. The offense is really moving in the, practice and scrimmage sessions and, the informal sessions they had in the summertime. Uh, this team has some firepower and we're going to see it unleashed. We've not seen that. We're seeing now. I'm hesitating to say this. Maybe Tony Bennett left this team in October because he saw what we're seeing happening now. He saw it coming. And the latest loss, the 63-51 loss to SMU. There were things that were positive in that game, and but still the result is what the result is. I have to assume maybe Jalen Warley saw the same thing. The kid from Florida State who transferred in and then transferred right back out. I guess he's probably, I mean, the final exam started Saturday. I hope for his sake he's finishing up his finals and, didn't waste the whole, few months experience here, but got some credits to go to wherever he's going next. But I mean, this is a show here, a certain kind of show. This one on Saturday, the loss at SMU may have reached a new low. No low, nothing low about losing this SMU team. They're 8-2 in the season now. But the way this one unfolded, Isaac McNeely made a three with 10:19 to go. He had a personal 7-0 run. He had made a three the previous trip down, got fouled, made the free throw to turn a 38-38 game into a 45-38 lead. Andy Enfield, the SMU coach, called a timeout, and the first thing we saw of the timeout was an open three that went in for his side. But more important, I don't know what he said. I still haven't found anything about what he said in terms of defensive strategy that he did differently. Something was different though, um, because in that last 10-19, Virginia did not make a shot from the floor. Let me repeat that. In the last 10-19 of the loss, Virginia did not make a shot from the floor. Made six free throws. But 0 of 9 from the floor, six turnovers, those six free throws. That's 18 possessions with no made baskets from the floor. Uh, and the 63 part of the 63-51 loss, a little deceiving. Virginia fouled in the last minute after a couple of turnovers and after a missed basket. Tried to extend the game. SMU went 7 of 8 at the line. This was more a 56-51 or 58-51 loss at most from that standpoint. So the defense did its job. SMU had averaged 88.3 points a game coming in, had 63, should have been in the mid to upper 50s. 42.1% shooting overall, 6 of 24 from three. But on the Virginia side, you're not going to win a lot of games with 51 points. And only six in the final 10 minutes and not making anything from the floor. Um, it's a thin margin of error in this past one. Day-Day Ames got hurt early on. What we're told is he sprained his ankle. He played 7 minutes, didn't come back out for the second half. I thought he looked limited even when he was in the game in those 7 minutes he did play. And I'm maybe reading into that, but because I speculate, I watched the game on TV like I'm sure all of you did, if those who did watch the game at all. I hope none of us went down to Dallas for that. Um, I thought, without the help from the TV folks, they said nothing about Ames, that he wasn't even out there. They completely missed the fact that the starting point guard wasn't on the floor for the last 33 minutes of this game. So without word from them, I thought, well, okay, he looked limited on offense in terms of, the offense seemed to be, even when he was on the floor, it seemed that Andrew Rohde was initiating the offense and that Ames was in an off guard role. And the way things have been going, Ames was He was the point guard, he was the initiator. Rhodey was a two guard, and then Isaac McNeely, the other two guard. Um, I thought maybe Ames was like dealing with a flu or some sort of illness of that nature, and then just couldn't continue to play. Maybe what happened was, and I'll throw my own speculation upon my speculation. Maybe the ankle sprained earlier in the game, and he tried to gut it out and just couldn't anymore. So whatever the case, we'll have to see day-to-day status. We don't know. We don't get to talk to Ron Sanchez between games this time of year. So. Um, Ames not being out there was a big part of this. But I would say that when he left with 10:39 to go, and then didn't get back in the game. So actually the last 30 minutes and 39 seconds of the game, because he had checked out once before and checked back in. The next 20 minutes, the offense actually worked okay. 31 points in that stretch from the offense, 7 of 12 shooting from three. They were creating some shots. Weren't making a lot at the rim. The shots at the rim, I was enthused. I do a live coverage post on Augusta Free Press, and a lot of folks are checking those out. So I'm glad to see that. Makes me feel like I'm actually doing something with that instead of just amusing myself. Um, I was enthused at the first media timeout that Virginia had made three baskets at the rim. There was a Isaac McNeely drive and dish to Blake Buchanan for a dunk, and then McNeely had, oh, excuse me, I think the next one was Andrew Rohde driving layup, and then McNeely with a driving layup. So made baskets at the rim in the first 3 minutes and 30 some seconds of the game. Only two more the rest of the way. So I thought, man, we got a trend going here because the best shots in basketball, I mean, this is analytics speaking, but it's just also simple common sense when you think about it. Your best shots in basketball are going to be shots at the rim and then three pointers. Shots at the rim because they are going to be higher percentage. You're not going to make every one. We saw, I think it was Jacob Kofi missed a dunk. Missed dunks are more rare, but you have more contest at the rim, but also you're shooting it. I mean, you're a foot away or less. So, teams usually shoot in the 60% range, 60, 61, 62% range at the rim, high percentage shots. And then threes are high percentage because there's an extra point for a made shot. So if you're 1 for 3 from three, you get 3 points for those three shots. That's like shooting 50% from two. So if you can shoot 40% from three, you're shooting 60% from two in that sense. So if you can make 35 to 40% of your threes, if you can make 60% of your shots at the rim, shoot a lot of both of those, the fewer shots in the mid range, which are more contested, and also you only get 2 points for, and you tend to shoot 35 to 40% on. You want to shoot fewer of those and more of the other two. Okay, so that's what you say here. I'll come back to that in a second. In fact, I'll come back to it now because I have the numbers here. I thought maybe the numbers were a little later as I'm reading my little quasi script here. Virginia was 8 of 19 from three. That's respectable, 42.1%. In fact, it's more than respectable. That's over 60%. That's 61 or 62% from two. Effective field goal percentage of 61 or 62%. Um, Only, let's see, again, what was it, 5 of 9 from the rim, um, and then 3 of 21 on mid-range jumpers. Way too many mid-range jumpers, and you can see the percentage, 3 of 21, 14% roughly, 14.3%. So this is the problem. Still not creating enough shots at the rim. And what happens when you create shots at the rim? You get more help at the rim, and that leaves shooters on the perimeter open. So your threes are going to be more effective shots as well. The problem here is that down the stretch last year, when we talked about how the offense was fizzling, we at least, it was the offense was two guys, Reese Beekman and Isaac McNeely. Reese Beekman is now averaging 18 points and 7.6 a game, 7.6 assists per game in the G League, and it's now just Isaac McNeely because Day-Day Ames is still touch and go as to his effectiveness. Andrew Rohde has games that are great and games that are not. Um, the the big kid, TJ Power, the former five-star recruit who played a year at Duke, is totally washed out. The tweaks to the offense, then, okay, so personnel-wise, things are not looking good. The tweaks to the X and O's not working out. There's not a lot of variety. We were told there'd be so much more variety in this offense. Really, the only variety is okay in Bennett's Bennett's version of the mover blocker and the continuity flow offense. He would exclusively have his big setting screens. Here's the big difference now. The guards also set screens for the bigs. So I mean, there you go. They're just a bunch of guys clogging up, themselves by running through screens all the time and allowing opponents to either switch off those or fight through. And it's still the same thing. It's just a slight nuance, and it's not really working. We're just not. You're not creating shots for guys. You're not. And it's in part because there's no dribble drive guys except for Day-Day Ames, and you know the emphasis hasn't been on recruiting dribble drive guys, and it's just not there. So the wrinkles aren't wrinkles. The difference isn't much of a difference. TJ Power is averaging 2.2 points a game, shooting 25.9% from the floor. He made a three on his first shot of the game down at SMU, and I'm thinking, hey, come on. This kid, he couldn't have been a five-star recruit. Duke didn't recruit him as a five-star because he's not good, and so we just need him to get unleashed. And we didn't. He started a few games for this UVA team to start the season. Ron Sanchez didn't start him because of nepotism or anything else. So there was a reason. I mean, he had to play well all summer and fall to earn that nod. And so maybe he just needs a shot in the arm, and making the three would do that. And then he missed his next shot. It was not bad. It was right on line, just a little long. Then he only shot the ball one more time. He came off the screen, was wide open off the screen, airballed it. It was short and to the left. And then he never put the ball up again. This kid has no confidence. Maybe for a reason. I don't know. I don't. Again, I can't imagine he was a five-star without being more than what we've seen. Elijah Saunders, he's not averaging 10 points a game now. He was going into the SMU game. He had a off game, just 3 points, all three from the foul line. He had 19 points in a loss down at Florida on Wednesday, and then he goes 0 for 6 from the floor and looked like a bum. I mean, he did that game. 3 points and 3 rebounds for a 6'8" center, 6'8", 242-pound center. Couldn't rebound, couldn't score. 25 minutes foul plagued as they were. So the question then is a fix in the works, and Virginia's 5-4 now. Um, I listened to Sanchez's post game presser, and I was not impressed. He's trying to put a positive spin on this. I guess you got to do that, I suppose. But outside of, listening to him try to put a positive spin, we learned that Ames was out with a sprained ankle. Christian Bliss, the backup point guard, who's a redshirt freshman we've not seen play at the college level, so we really don't know what he can do. He's still day to day. We'll have to hope he gets back in, right? We keep hearing from Sanchez that it's a young team. They're all still getting used to playing with each other and playing within the UVA system. We're 9 games in now, though. We're about a third of the way through the season. And it's not like Virginia's the only team. This is the transfer portal era. The only, everybody's got new guys. Everybody's got three or four transfers, a couple freshmen playing. It's just the way things are now. Um, it's not that it's young guys. It's the system, which even when it was working, was hard to watch and took a lot of game reps. Yeah, the hard to watch part is aesthetic for the fans of us, but for the players, it took years for them to learn exactly how it would run. And those veteran teams of Tony's were really good. The first team, 2013, 2014, that won the ACC tournament, got a number one regional seed, went to the Sweet 16. That was Joe Harris as a senior. Malcolm Brogdon was a redshirt sophomore, so was Anthony Gill. The 2015, 2016 team that went to the Elite Eight, Brogdon was a redshirt senior, so was Anthony Gill. Um, the 2019 team that won the national championship, you had three guys, DeAndre Hunter, Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy, who were juniors who had played together for 3 years. You had Jack Salt as a senior. Mamadi Diakite is a redshirt sophomore, so he was, or maybe he was a redshirt. It was a redshirt junior. Just guys with a lot of experience in the system, and playing with each other. You don't have that now. Only Isaac McNeely is a guy with any extensive experience in this system. He's a junior. And I gotta say, from a talent standpoint, he's probably the only guy on this current roster who would have played on either the 2013-2014 team, the 2015-2016 team, or the 2018-2019 team. He's the only, and he wouldn't have started for any of those teams. There's no starting job for Isaac McNeely on, he's not starting ahead of Brogdon, Parentes, or Joe Harris. He's not starting ahead of Brogdon, Parentes. Justin Anderson wasn't there in 2015, 2016. He had left for the NBA early. I'm trying to think who the starting other starting guard was that year, and it's maybe it was Devin Hall. I have to look that up. I can't believe I don't remember that. As much as I've followed this so closely, 2018, 2019, he's not starting ahead of any of those three guys that ended up in the NBA. So that's what, so the talent level isn't quite, by recruiting, by prep rankings and that kind of thing. Yes, from eye test that we've seen in 9 games this year, no. Um, Sanchez is thus left with a lot of young guys, a roster with a lot of transfers and first years. Not the level of talent that we had seen in years past. Even the 2021 team that got bounced out of the NCAA tournament because of the COVID issue, they played the game, but they basically got off the bus after a week of quarantine and had to play Ohio U and lost that game. That was the Sam Hauser, Trey Murphy, Jay Huff team. All three of those guys are playing great in the NBA right now. If only we could have played, full strength with that group. Man, that's something. But yeah, even that team as recently as what 3, 4 years ago, lots of talent. Um, this team doesn't have that. It doesn't have the experience together. It can't play this game the way Tony wants it played, even though Tony's not there anymore. It's still his system. I wrote before the season that the job is Ron Sanchez's. If he were to get his team in the NCAA tournament, that's not happening with this team. It's just not happening. And no offense to Sanchez, maybe that's not for the worst. When you see how the last couple of years have gone, uh, the college basketball game has passed the Tony Bennett way of winning basketball games by. And it's probably time for a house cleaning. And, no offense to anybody there, but UVA's got the money to spend, and there are plenty of guys out there who would love the opportunity to build on the fan base that is very supportive, the structure at JPJ that is still one of the best in the country, even though it's coming up on 20 years old, and the recent history of UVA basketball. There are guys out there. I want to start exploring with what UVA can spend, 4 to 5 million a year. There are guys that we can get to come in here and take this job. So no, it's no offense. I mean, I'm still going to go into every game, and I want Ron Sanchez to prove me wrong. I want these guys to prove me wrong. I want these guys to go out there. The next test is probably the Memphis game, which is next Wednesday. The game is going to make me miss. I bought tickets way back, way back, at the Paramount Theater on Wednesday, December 18th. Leslie Odom Jr. I'm a huge Hamilton fan. I've seen Hamilton in person 5 times. Leslie Odom Jr. is going to do a Christmas concert at the Paramount. I'm missing that. My wife's going with a friend. I'm missing Leslie Odom coming to the Paramount in Charlottesville, so I can see how UVA matches up with Memphis. That's a huge game. A win there, and I'll take all this back. Maybe, maybe not, but no, that's a huge game, and that's a statement game potentially for UVA basketball. And I want them to prove me wrong. I want to see this. I want to see growth out of this team. I still want to believe what I said, a few weeks ago that what I saw roster wise suggested to me good team this year. Just not seeing it through 9 games, and I'm afraid we're not going to see it this year. So if that's the case, you know, things are what they are. I don't want it to be time to put a bow tie on the Tony Bennett era, but we may very well be there.